Welcome all to the Europe's biggest entrepreneur event, Takeoff 2021. My name is Daniel Lammi, and I'm a student, teacher, coach, and in general, an entrepreneur. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this event and host this event for you this afternoon. Takeoff is, and has always been, an event organized for the youth as a side event of Slush. Over the years, several thousands of people have joined on site during the Slush event or online to hear about entrepreneurship and enhance their skills for life. Today, we are tuning in remotely, so I encourage you to engage with our chat on the platform shared you on this stream. I heard some of you in Salo are eating pizza today, so you can tell us how the pizza tastes. Or in Oulu and Niemi, we have some French people. Bonjour. You guys having a good time? Write to the chat. How are you feeling? Are you excited for this event? I am. Our moderators will try to answer your questions if there's any problems during the event. And also, we encourage you to ask any questions during the event, and the moderators will tell us what is the question you're concerned about, and we try to answer those during this program. You can write your questions and statements in English or in Finnish, so we will translate them either way. All right, let's look at the timetable, what we have in store for you today. So after our instructions, we will go to our world premiere of our business course. That will be exciting. Can't wait for that. Then we go to a discussion with Miika Huttunen, the CEO of Slush. After that, we go to a Nordea's workshop about Know Me, Know My Company. That will be exciting times for you too as well. After this, we go to a short break. You can relax a bit, move, because you're there remotely. It might be a bit tense sometimes. So we have about 5 minutes for you to relax a bit. After the short break, we will engage with our keynote speakers of today. Satu and Camilla will talk about minion recruitment and how to build a meaningful career. And after that, we'll go to Lidl's workshop about Kakao's journey. And also teachers have an opportunity to engage as well. Then we go to a last break in which we will get ready for the panel discussion of today when I and 3 different entrepreneurs will have a discussions about how to make a business out of your strengths. Thanks again for joining this afternoon. Also, before we take off, I want to thank on behalf of Economy and Youth TAT, our partners, Nordea and Lidl, for making this awesome event happen. Thank you so much. All right, let's take off. Now we're gonna have our world premiere of our awesome business course. Enjoy.
Etsitkö selkeää, korkealaatuista ja muokattavaa opetusmateriaalia, joka keskittyy talouteen, yrittäjyyteen ja työelämätaitoihin? Toisen asteen opiskelijoille suunnatut maksuttomat businesskurssimme ovat ratkaisu kysymykseesi.
Meillä businesskurssien materiaalit on usein sellaisia keskustelun virittäjiä.
Me käytetään TATin materiaaleja hyvin eri tavalla ja näin sitten hyödynnetään sitä erilaisessa projektioppimisessa.
Siellä on paljon erinomaisia lyhyitä videoita. Ne johdattaa hyvin opiskelijat aiheeseen, jolla on niiden avulla päästy helposti eteenpäin. Onnistuneimmat businesskurssit on monesti luonut sellaisen innon opiskelijoiden ilmapiiriin ja he on monesti keksinyt itse sit kaikkea lisää.
Ja sekin on mun mielestä sellainen rikkaus, että tietyllä tavalla ne TATin materiaalit on hyvin monipuolisia, niin sit opiskelijat löytää sieltä niitä omia kiinnostuksen kohteita.
Voit räätälöidä kurssit itsellesi sopiviksi ja kehittää kurssisi arviointia helppokäyttöisen alustamme avulla.
Business-kurssit ovat kehittäneet sosiaalista kanssakäymistä ja kulttuurien ymmärtämistä.
No, kurssien avulla esimerkiksi oman talouden hallinta on helpompaa.
Business-kurssien avulla mä oon oppinut sen, että mitä on yrittäjyys, miten yritys perustetaan, miten raha-asioita hoidetaan ja muutenkin siitä yrittäjyydestä tosi paljon.
Se anti, mikä niissä materiaaleissa on, niin niissä on sellaista asiantuntijatietoa helpossa muodossa.
Sen lisäksi me voidaan myöskin sitten jalkautua työelämään. Me saadaan tehtyä yritysvierailuja ja me pystytään peilaamaan niitä businesskurssien tehtäviä myöskin sitten sinne aitoon vierailuun.
Businesskurssit helpottavat haastavien asioiden opettamista ja varmistavat sen, että suunnittelemasi kurssisisältö vastaa opetussuunnitelman vaatimuksiin.
Businesskurssit on tosi opettavaisia, ne on sosiaalisia.
Ajankohtaisia.
Moderneja ja helppokäyttöisiä.
Musta on ihana, kun oppii uusia juttuja. Se, että opiskelijat saattaa haastatella jotain yrittäjää vaikka kansainvälisen markkinoinnin haasteista, niin siinä oppii itsekin aina kaikkea uutta. Että siellä on TATilla ollut tosi hyviä materiaaleja semmoisiin eri liiketoimintakulttuureihin ja niihin opiskelijat, kun on lähtenyt tutustumaan, haastattelemaan yrittäjiä, niin sieltä on tullut aivan loistavia vastauksia ja tietoja, mitkä täydentää sitten toisiaan.
Innosta osaavat nuoret tulevaisuuden työelämään. Kurssit saat käyttöösi osoitteessa edu.tat.fi.
Who's excited for the business course? I think I am. Maybe I'll attend. I hope you will too. Next up, we have an opportunity to pick a mind of a CEO of Slush, Miika Huttunen. Panu Mäenpää, the Chief Home Communications Officer from Economy and Youth TAT, interviews Miika about entrepreneurship and Slush. Use this opportunity to hear from the world-recognized startup culture leader, Miika Huttunen. Enjoy the discussion.
I'm sitting here with Miika Huttunen. You are the CEO of Slush. But before you sat in this chair, you have done something with your life. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your education, and how did it all come about that you're the CEO of Slush?
Yeah, sure, and happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. So I would say my life consists of three parts, or maybe basically three things that I have done most of my life. I have always liked to learn things, so I have tried to do school well, and of course, like after school, like just actively learn new things. Second thing is that I used to do a lot of sports, and thirdly, I have been a huge computer nerd. So these are mostly the things that I have used my whole life around. Until upper secondary school, I thought that I would go or become maybe a diplomat or similar. So I was actually planning to apply to study like political history and such to the Helsinki University. But when I went to the military service, I kind of like also get excited about economics and financials and so on. So eventually I actually switched my plans and applied to the business school. And in the business school, I heard first kind of like what is like Slush and what is kind of like these entrepreneurship societies. I didn't know much, but somehow something dragged me to get closer to them and get just like super curious about them. And eventually I applied to become part of Slush as a volunteer. And since 2014 was like somehow involved ever since. And eventually like became a CEO. And I think it sounds straightforward, as it always is when you say these things. But I think my motto is like I always try to do something as well as possible, so there is kind of like opportunities open for next steps.
So your journey at Slush has been like a 7-year journey from a volunteer to the CEO.
Right.
Are there any sort of important lessons that you've learned during those 7 years?
One of the lessons that I learned during my first year was, and what was maybe so foundational that I wanted to continue all these years, was that I was part of the registration team, so giving a badge for a guest. Simple thing, but what I learned was that when you do even a simple thing with people who are incredibly ambitious and want to do that one simple thing really well, that becomes actually really exciting. So what we wanted to do was that we wanted to make our guests feel like kings and queens when they come to get that badge, because we knew that that's one of the first encounters when they meet somebody from Slush. And also we knew that these people are busy, so we want to make it happen extremely fast. I think second thing what I learned during this journey and how I eventually became CEO is just people really want to help. And when I learned that, I have just like utilized that just like all the time basically. So it's just sending an email to somebody who you admire, or just sending a text message or calling or asking and saying like, hey, hi, I'm Mika. I'm this years old. I'm studying this. I'm super curious to hear about you and learn about how have you done and how you have become you. And it's really surprising how often people have time.
We are talking about climate change and how to sort of prohibit it from progressing or sort of taking us further into the abyss. Do businesses want to tackle climate change more nowadays than before?
I honestly think that companies that are not somehow wired or designed in their business models or in how they work to tackle the climate change are not going to be around in 10 years. Even during this year, I think the change, like how companies think about like tackling climate or sustainability itself, and not just only in terms of like reversing climate change, but like also like sustainability as a whole. It's been quite a change because we take it seriously at Slush, and we kind of like we're pretty demanding if you want to, for example, partner with us. So 5 years ago, there was some questions like, is this really necessary?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like, can we do more?
That's wonderful to hear, and especially because in the news we know that especially young people are sort of getting stressed, fearing that we are expecting them to make the change, even though it's up to us to start making the change now and not waiting till like 20 years. Now you can sort of clean up after us. There are loads of young entrepreneurs, especially sort of studying with us here at Economy and Youth TAT. How do you sort of recognize your own strengths, and what do you have to say to those young people who are still sort of trying to figure out their own strengths?
I can maybe like tell a story from the upper secondary school. And I was surrounded by people who kind of like were able to draw, were able to play like guitar, were able to sing, were able to act, and so on. And I kind of like, I felt I never had kind of like one of those things, but I always would love to have. One day I had a chance to be the host of our annual ball, so Vanhojen tanssit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the first moment when I realized like this is actually pretty fun. And I actually felt that I was pretty good at this. And after that, I have tried to kind of like push myself to situations like this, where I can discuss, where I can like do speeches, where I can be the host. And I found out that actually this is one of the things I like. And it like led me to realize that in general, like as an entrepreneur or whenever you're working a team, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be skilled in everything. If you're starting a technology startup, you don't have to necessarily be the coder. You don't necessarily have to be the designer. You can be, for example, like what I think I will be. I think I'm like through that experience of the annual ball hosting, I can get people excited. I think I can articulate what we want to achieve pretty well. And I think I'm pretty good at building teams. And that's my role. Maybe one of the ways finding your own voice or finding your own skills is asking yourself, what is the thing you really like doing? Because that's the thing where you can build an edge something that you think maybe even during the night or during your free time. And that's how you become better than maybe somebody else. And I think the second thing that I realized that it takes also time to find those things. So my kind of like advice would be kind of like to try as many things possible, because you don't know what the thing will be for you. And pretty often also, as my last point, the things that you kind of like enjoy spending time on your free time will maybe become as not maybe as skill sets, but as a like industry or theme that you can build an edge. So finding your voice takes time, but it might be also sometimes closer than you think, where you're super good at.
And it's the passion that you put into your work is sort of resonates then with the other people.
Yeah.
Who then get excited. We talked about sustainability, but in Slush, in the event, how do you sort of, as a company and building the event, how do you take in account all the sustainability factors?
There are many ways how we do it. So first of all, if you think about the event itself, people from all around the world are traveling into one place, which is of course, from climate perspective, challenging. Therefore, we are like every single year committed to compensate every CO2 emissions that we do. So that's kind of like, we don't even discuss about it, we just do it. When it comes to how we kind of like build our program and design who we invite as a speaker, internally we want to first ensure that we have enough diverse team, and that kind of like helps us to have broader perspectives on things that has to be discussed on stages, and also who to invite, because those people we are role models to everybody who are following. At Slush, like all the like recycling things and then these are kind of like done on steroids. So everything is like thought out. In the past, like we have had challenges with a few cases of harassment, so we're taking that also like extremely seriously. Like both when it comes to like how we design the venue, so there is like safe space in every corner, but also we have like rotating mediators around the event. So if these like awful things happen, so we are able to react right away. Obviously, we want to practice what we preach, and I think our way of changing the world when we partner with 100 organizations or invite 1,700 investors or over 3,000 startups is to be an example and like let them follow.
Well, my last question to you is, what is the next skill that you want to acquire in your career?
I would love to become better to improvise. I would say I'm pretty good when I know how should I prepare, what should I do, and I have had the time. But what if I'm just thrown to the spot and just have to do something? That's maybe one thing I would love to learn.
So that's drama school for you next.
Drama school, exactly.
Mika, thank you for coming today and talking to us, and all the best with the upcoming event.
Thank you.
Kiitos.
Kiitos.
Welcome back. How was the discussion with Mika? Did you enjoy it? Mika's discussion can be found later on as a part of our business course, and you can learn more after that. And also, of course, we encourage you to take part of the course as well. We also saw that there's many comments coming in, so let's take a look how you guys are. So there's people from Oulu, Espoo, Sipoo, Lahti. Oh, and of course, nice. Oh, yeah. How do you pronounce that actually? French, right? But I know the city. I have some friends from there too. Thanks for joining in. It's very exciting that we have people from diverse backgrounds too. and also from across the Finland. But let's move with our program. So up next, we have a workshop from our partner Nordea. But before we go into it, let's go a bit through the instructions of how to use the tool in the stream platform on the website called Padlet. So you have had some opportunities to learn already what's going to be during the workshop. There will be the time when you do the PowerPoint slide. And an important thing is that when you have the PowerPoint slides ready, you want to save it as a photo. And then, when it's a photo, you can drag and drop it to the Paddle platform. Other things that you might consider are moving and dragging the messages in the platform, liking other people's posts. You can also edit the contents, and also delete them by the red trash icon. The interaction, like I said, is through liking, and also we encourage you to have a discussion on the event chat. So in case that you find something interesting, or there's a problem or something, find the discussion in the event chat. Thank you. But further ado, let's welcome to the stage our partners from Nordea, who will take the stage, specialists Henni Niemi and Christina Schaumann.
So hello everyone and a warm welcome to Nordea's workshop for Takeoff 2021. My name is Christina.
And my name is Henni, and together we'll take you through an assignment we call Know Me, Know My Company.
So the idea is simple. It's to brainstorm together in teams on how you can turn a hobby or an interest into a functioning business idea, and everything you need to know about your company, your customers, and your plan for it to work.
You have already had a pre-assignment regarding this topic, and the idea today is to take it one step further from a business concept into a visualization on a PowerPoint slide. And at the end of the session, you'll see all of the slides on the Padlet wall. We will do this by splitting the task into 2 different sections.
So soon on your screen, you should be able to see the task at hand and also a clock so you know how much time you have left. And your first task is then to compress your business idea and your purpose into around 3 sentences or less, and then write it down on the slide together with your new company name.
You have 10 minutes to do this, and you can see the example slide of our imaginary company called the Game Whisperers on your screen, with the name and business idea written on the slide.
Yes, and we will check in with you together with Henni when the time is up to present the next steps. And also, if you have any questions at all during this session, please answer or ask them in the chat, and our helpful colleagues will be right at your service.
Yeah, and good luck. Time starts now.
All right, and time is up. Hopefully you're able to finish the task, as we will have to move on.
Now let's continue to the next part of the workshop, where you also have 2 tasks to complete.
So the first one is to come up with a slogan for your company that relates to your business idea, and then you write it down on the slide. And secondly, you can modify the visuals on your slide to reflect your company. And this can be done through colors, pictures, fonts, or even a logo. The sky is the limit.
Once you're finished with your slide, please upload it to the Padlet board so that everyone can see it. You have approximately 12 minutes to do this, and we'll come back to you once the time is up.
So remember, you can be highly creative in this step to make sure you get a catchy or descriptive slogan, as well as a visualization that suits your chosen company.
Yeah, good luck, and remember to upload your Padlets onto the Padlet board once it's ready. You should soon be able to see our example slide and the instructions on your screen. Time starts now.
All right, so thank you all for being part of what we like to call Know Me, Know My Company.
Now let's see if we have already something on the patent wall.
All right, well, this was the example we used in Nordea, the game whisperers, and let's see.
There's one slide.
All right. All right, so hopefully you can see it as well. So we have this company called Orderly. All right.
All right. Sounds like a great business idea.
So it's a subscription-based note service for students, so made by students for students. All right.
All right.
So basically a personalized tutoring service for an extra payment. So I'm thinking if you write your notes, you know everything from class, and then if the people who haven't been at class can buy your notes, they can maybe pass the exam through this service.
So if you're being lazy, you just need to use some money.
Yeah, I think this sounds like something I could have used while studying. Maybe on the paying customer side, perhaps.
I might have been on the other side of that table on that time.
All right.
Yeah.
Focus points, quality of the product, ease of use, and up-to-date knowledge and information. I think this is a great example of a business case and a business idea. And also, I have to say, the visuals are quite nice.
Yeah, super good. Great job.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw that you had the slogan written there under, was it, do it modernly, use
orderly.
Orderly.
Yeah.
I think that is great. That is a
slogan.
very catchy slogan.
Yeah. Super suiting.
Yep. So great work for this group.
Yeah, super good job.
Right. Shall we see? Do we have anything else?
We do. Kontti Oy. I have to say, I really like the visuals as well. Really suiting.
Yeah, Kontti. You can see the Kontti there on the, or the different kind of containers on the side of the picture here. Now, this is in Finnish, but I don't know, maybe we can give a brief. Yeah?
Maybe we can translate it on the go.
Yeah, do you want to save the world's slummiutumisongelmat, the slum problems in the world? I guess this is a very ambitious business idea, I have to say. So hats up for solving all these great world problems.
Not a basic hobby, I think.
No, I wouldn't think this this is a basic interest you would have as a student. But if you do, then this is, I mean, I raise my hat to you. Very interesting. All right.
All right.
So you can live in a container if you want to. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Then I think this was pretty much it for our part here, and we would like to thank you all on Nordea's behalf for taking part in our little workshop.
Yeah, and hopefully you have all learned something about how to bring your hobby or interest into a business. After all, the steps between them are not that big at all.
So we hope to see you all in future takeoffs, and maybe we'll see some of these business ideas run by you as a company in the future.
Yeah, so thank you all and have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye.
What does our future look like? That's a big question that we start to think about from an early age. Everyone wants to find their place in the world. We wait for the moment when the pieces fall into place. There are so many things to learn along the way. Luckily, we're not alone in dealing with new things, but we get help and encouragement. We take steps towards the future, which starts to look a bit clearer. We learn that everyone has an important role in society. We're not only deciding on our own future, but everyone can influence common issues as well. Everything is possible when we trust each other. We're on this journey together. Doing things together shows us that we're all quite different from one another. We all have our own role to play. If we encourage each other, we'll succeed. When everyone dares to take responsibility and be active, that success will lead to great things. We'll notice that being spontaneous and enthusiastic is appreciated. When you have the courage to try new things, your confidence and skills will grow. We realize that we learn best by doing things ourselves. we start to believe that everyone will find their own place. Even though we have questions that don't have answers, we have the courage to face bigger challenges than we ever dreamed of. We can shape our own future by taking brave steps towards it. You can find your own place quickly, or it can take time. The pieces can fall into place in so many different ways, and there's no need for them to stay where they are forever. It's amazing that we're able to change the future at any time. The most important thing is to be brave and chase your own dreams.
All right. How was the workshop? I think sleeping in a container would be interesting. Also, I think the note business back in my days was also something useful. Maybe the teachers wouldn't like it so much though. Next up, we go to a short break. But before, we give a thanks to Nordea, Henny and Christina for awesome workshop, and of course for you to participate to this workshop. So see you shortly, and then we're gonna have our keynote speaker after the break. Welcome back from the break. Hope you got your neck stretched a bit, got some movement in, because next up we have awesome speakers and workshop coming in. During the break, we also saw your other posts on the Padlet. There were some sustainability companies, some business ones, was it like BOF was one thing there, chocolate things, ballet, lots of things happening with you guys. I think you should start that business, maybe after this event. Well, again, if we think about knowing our strengths, as it's one of the themes of today, it's very important when you consider your career, work, and your life in general, to know which you are actually good at. Next speakers are experts on these issues. They have founded a very unique firm called Minion. Minion Recruitment has a very different, a very human way towards recruitment. Now you have a good opportunity to hear from these experts on the field on what do they actually look for in the people when they recruit them, and what would you actually know when you are approaching a new job or career. Well, I'm not this expert. Let's hear from them. Let's give a stage to Satu Lappalainen and Camilla Kylander, the co-founders of Minion Recruitment.
Hi everyone, my name is Camilla.
And my name is Satu. And we are founders of Minion. And at Minion we are focused on recruitment and career coaching. Really happy to be here today.
We were excited when we were invited to speak at this event, because having a meaningful career is a very important part of having a meaningful life and enjoying your day to day. And when we started discussing this topic with Satu, we realized that we have learned a lot as entrepreneurs and as professionals, and we have some tips and tricks that we actually would like to share with our younger versions of ourselves. So we're excited to talk to you about meaningful careers today. And the first thing that we wanted to bring up and highlight is that there are no wrong choices. When we were growing up, when we were deciding where to study, what jobs to apply for, we were very concerned with making the wrong choice, opening the wrong door, saying yes at the wrong time, saying no at the wrong time, all of these things. We are very, very concerned of sort of missing an opportunity or taking the wrong turn at the crossroads. But what we've now learned is that everything does come together in a beautiful way, and at the moment you might not know how your choices will build up to something amazing, but that's the first thing that we want to say to you, is that don't be afraid of making choices, because they might just build up to something that's uniquely meaningful to you.
Exactly, as Camilla said, I was as well, when I was, for example, studying in high school, I was really concerned of making the wrong moves and wrong choices, and now just coming to realization that it will all come together. And I think our career path is actually a really good example of that, because before founding Minion, Camilla and myself, we used to be lawyers, so we had a completely different day-to-day, we had a different career path. But at some point we just realized that, okay, this is not for us. This is not the life that we want to live, and we decided to do almost like a U-turn on our careers. At least that's how it felt in the moment. Even though we were certain that we need to do this shift, we were also afraid that we would lose something. We talked about it, that okay, why didn't we make these choices earlier? Why did we make these kind of wrong decisions earlier, and only now starting to build a career that is meaningful to us? But we have now realized that it is not at all the case. Everything that we all also done before founding Minion has been extremely valuable. Being a lawyer was helpful when founding a company. If we wouldn't have went to law school, we would not have met. And also nowadays we recruit a lot of lawyers. So I think it's a demonstration of whatever you do in your life, the people you meet, the jobs you take, they will all kind of at some point it will all come together in a way that you can't really even plan ahead. Life is really amazing in that sense.
So no stress about making choices, just experiment and have fun. And fun is also the point of our next learning, or what we want to share with you today, because we've realized that when you're following joy, when you're following the sensation of fun and excitement and a sense of maybe even calm, that's where your success and your career path most likely lies. So when I was younger, I was very concerned with what the older version of me wanted. I was so scared that I would disappoint her, that I wouldn't make the decisions that would pan out 10 years later into something that version of me would be happy and satisfied with. And that leads to a lot of stress and also anxiety, and that's not the direction we want to sort of encourage anyone to take.
And it has been even like scientifically proven that us humans, we are really bad at predicting what will make us happy in the future. We can't even predict what will make us happy in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So we would encourage a younger version of ourselves to live a bit more in the moment and just focus on gaining your self-knowledge of what makes you happy, what brings you joy in that very moment, because you really cannot know what the older version of yourself will appreciate. And how do you do this? Well, we can only encourage you to do a lot of experimenting with your studies, with your hobbies, with the way you study, the people you socialize with, you interact with. Just kind of experiment what are those things that bring you joy and bring you happiness, and actually those are the clues for building your meaningful career. So always take a note when you realize that, okay, this was really fun, or this came really natural to me. Write that down, and you start gaining more and more information and clues about what brings meaning to you.
So if you want to talk to the future version of yourself, if you want to ask her or him what she wants or he wants from her or his career, just look at the present time, look at what brings you joy now, and those are the clues also from the future. And that's how we build and continue to build our company as well. We always take a minion in the direction of joy, and it's been working really well.
Mm. And this was something also when I was, for example, studying in high school. I studied a lot of things that I thought that would be useful in the future. So I studied physics and chemistry and biology, and I wasn't really interested in those topics. I just thought that, okay, this will make sense someday. And also I applied to law school, graduated as a lawyer, and even then I thought that maybe at some point, even though this does not feel quite right, but at some point the reward will come. But as I'm now here, I realize that it really doesn't, life doesn't really work that way, and you kind of need to have the courage to make decisions that feel good in that moment.
And when you combine joy with your own personal individual strengths, that's when success happens. That's where the magic happens. So it's a very important topic to be discussing, personal strength, and from a sort of recruitment point of view and a career coach point of view, the best tip that we can give you is that start working on how to put your strengths into words, how to identify your strengths. Begin that work as early as possible, because that's something that even people who are 10, 20, 30 years into their careers are still sometimes struggling with, how to explain to others, how to highlight individual strength, and how to allow that to guide you towards more meaningful opportunities.
And sometimes it can be a bit difficult to put these things into words, and we have some tips what you can do at least to start. And one thing is to ask a lot of feedback. Sometimes people around you maybe see things more clearly and can help you to put let you also have more information, words about your strengths. So for example, you can, if you have a teacher that you have a good relationship with, you can ask them what does they see is some of your strengths. If you have a, for example, summer job, always very proactively ask for feedback. What have the employer or your supervisor has thought, or your colleagues, that what are some of your best qualities, what are your strengths, what makes you stand out from the crowd. Also, just your friends and, for example, like family members, you can ask about them. What do they feel that are your gift to the world? And this way, also start getting more information. How do other people kind of see you and your superpowers?
And remember to make a lot of notes. Just remember to write those things down. It's a very powerful tool to be writing things down. And because sometimes knowing something intuitively and actually being able to articulate it and put it into words, those are two different things. So start making notes and start working on how to explain who you are, what you're good at. And that will give you a huge advantage if you're looking for job opportunities, or even if you're starting your own company and looking for employees or clients.
And remember that all of us are individual. We all have our own strengths, so don't compare to your peers. They have their own skill set and strengths, so we all have our own recipe in this life and our own special strengths. So just to keep in mind that you don't have to be everything and you don't have to be good at everything.
Your career will feel very meaningful when you're doing what you're good at and you're enjoying it. So that's something to keep in mind, to combine the joy with your personal strength.
I think our next advice related to everyday life. Yeah. And then we said to ourselves that the everyday is everything. And this is something that we would have wanted to remind a younger version of ourselves, because a lot of the times when we think about our career, we think about just really big things. It's a big topic. Like career is 40 years, 50 years. It's a huge topic, and it can feel a bit overwhelming if you kind of try to internalize that as one piece. But me and Camilla, we're motivational coaches, and what we always try to remind also ourselves and our team members, but people we coach, is that really what matters is your day-to-day life. What you do daily, what type of moments you have in your day-to-day life. And of course, sometimes you can also reflect on the big picture and take a step back and think about what you want to do with your life. But that can be quite a big question. So just bring it to a smaller pieces and kind of reflect on what type of moments do you want to have in your day-to-day life. And that will start to also make it easier for you to approach the whole big word of meaning.
Yes, because meaningfulness, it's a feeling. We want to feel like we have meaning in our lives and in our careers. And feelings are being experienced every day as we go. Feelings are not something that we can put on paper. It's not a university degree, a diploma. It's not a promotion. It's not a raise. It's not fame and fortune. It's a feeling. So do pay attention to the feelings that you have in your everyday life. I was, as a lawyer, very much disregarding my own feelings in the everyday, in the day-to-day life. I spent a lot of time sitting alone in it was a very nice office, but in my own office, reading and writing, when actually what makes me happy, what brings me joy, and where my strength lies is with people. It's talking to people, coaching people, sharing ideas, and being creative. So it wasn't so much that I should have thought about, do I want to be a lawyer or not? I just should have asked myself the question earlier on, what do I want to do when I wake up in the morning? I usually imagine that I have this battery icon from my phone, the green one, a full charged battery, and I now think that it's my assignment for each day to try to fill my day with as much moments and situations and tasks and people that actually give me energy and keep that battery on green as long as possible. Because if I fill my day-to-day life with things that drain my battery and make it go red and drain it right away, then my life isn't going to feel very meaningful. It doesn't really matter what I think this all will bring me in the future if I don't feel like it has meaning in the now. So do pay attention to the small stuff, because that's where life happens.
And it's not like a meaningful day-to-day life. It's not like an on-off. It's not like a switch that you put on or off. Even though we have created, for example, I think me and Camilla, we had created a really good surrounding and setting or platform for a meaningful career when founding Minion and creating that type of work life that we want to live. But this is the work that we also need to do every day. So, and we've had periods of time when we have kind of stopped and say, okay, now what is happening is actually the same thing that was happening when we were lawyers and we were not happy with our day-to-day and what we were doing daily. And we need to remind ourselves and go back to the basics. Okay, what are the most important things for us? What are the things that we value the most, and how can we implement those things into our day-to-day work and how we work? So this is constant work. It won't be done in a minute, but it will be worth it.
Yeah. And also, one of the things that we wanted to share, and something that we would definitely discuss with the younger versions of ourselves, is that you have to be patient with your career. You have to be patient with your journey. We're very impatient, so this has definitely been a lesson for us. But we just know now that everything that we want, we actually want the feeling of achieving it. So when you don't be afraid of putting in time and effort and working for your goals and moving forward, sometimes slowly, but still moving forward, because eventually those milestones, those journeys along the way to our goals, that's what creates the meaning. So try to be patient with yourself, try to be patient with life. We're absolutely sure that a lot of wonderful things are going to come together in your life and in your career. We're going to leave you with a story. We were about, I think, 20, 21, not even graduated from university back then, and we were one summer sitting at a cafe and discussing, I suppose quite loudly, discussing our big question marks in life and with our career. And having a lot of sort of stress about where we're headed, and then this lady who was sitting drinking her coffee by herself was sitting next to us. At some point, she turned to us and said that, you know, girls, it's life is going to surprise you in the most wonderful way, and she was right. Life has surprised us in the most wonderful way, and we are absolutely sure that this goes for you as well. So thank you for your time. I think now it's time for questions.
Some questions.
All right, thank you, ladies. What a lovely speech. Now we have some questions from the chat. If you consider kind of the skills and quality you pay attention to when you're recruiting, what are they?
Well, if I think about skills, like it really depends on like the job, the position, and the profile. But one common factor is self-knowledge. That's always something that I look for when interviewing. How well does one know it's him or herself? I think that is the most important thing, because then you are also, if I think about like motivation and developing yourself, that's the knowledge that you need to have. No one else can kind of know this for you.
Yeah. What about you, Camilla?
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of self-knowledge, but also I feel like I have this basic rule of thumb that if you know where you're coming from, if you know what you've done so far, what you've learned, you can also explain where you are right now. And then if you have some idea of where you're going, then that's a really good thing when applying for jobs. And a recruiter will be impressed if you have sort of thought about these three things in advance. And they don't have to be exact, but just have a think about what those three things would be.
You don't expect perfect answers.
No, but I agree with the self-actualization. Like I think my career path started when I was starting to ask the questions, who am I, what can I do? And then I meet people and then they project you who you are. And then you're like, okay, well, this is,
this actually works out.
Maybe this will work. And that's I think why I'm here too and why you are also here probably.
Yeah.
Then we have another question. So those moments when you had the best feelings during your entrepreneur path, when were they and what were they?
There's so many.
I think because everything that we have created as entrepreneurs has started out as a thought. It's just a thought, just an idea, and each time I see one of those thoughts has actually materialized, and now. You just from having the thought with Satu 6-7 years ago that we want to start a company, and now having a team and an office and just looking at how beautifully everything has materialized, that's the best feeling for me.
That's good.
Well, I guess it's also moment like this when there's a lot of hassle now in the office and everyone's busy, but when we, for example, have these moments that we do some presentation together, or it's also when you kind of stop and reflect on how far we've come along, and you kind of realize that, okay, like this is something that started, as Camilla said, from an idea. So these are actually one of my favorite moments also, because then you realize what an amazing journey it has been.
Yeah, so being sustainable about what you're gonna do, and then looking back, you're like, well, I take the responsibility to make it happen, and you actually did it. I think that's quite good. There's still a couple questions. I think we have shortly time for one. What was your first job?
My first job, I think I helped out at my dad's ad agency, but that felt like that was a really short stint, a few weeks. Then my first real job was working at a cafe on the marketplace, and yeah. Yeah,
so you can start simple. What about
I
you?
did some gardening work.
Okay, well, gardening too.
How do you say with the lawn
mower?
Mower. So very
so
back to basics.
growing from plants to growing people.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Thank you so much,
Thank
Camilla
you.
and Satu.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Okay. I think Satu and Camilla had really nice insights about recruitment and life in general. Self-actualization is a big thing, and I also encourage you to go for it. Next up is our second workshop of today, starting with little. But before we go into it, again, I want to remind you about the Padlet instructions. I heard there was some hustles to do your answers to Paddle or Padlet, pardon me too. And again, remember, once you do the PowerPoint slide, save it as a photo, and then drag and drop it to the Padlet platform. Because then we can easily modify, look at them, arrange them, and see what you actually have done. Again, you can edit them during the actual thing when you do the presentation, but also drag them while they are in the Padlet platform. And again, reminder, engage with the chat. It's lovely to see the messages and your thoughts about the event, about the workshop, and if there's something you want to ask from us. Again, we try to come back to the chat features in the panel discussion after the workshop, so prepare yourself for that. But without going further, let's get to the stage our little represents, or actually, let's first give a short introduction to the teachers. So, teachers have received some introductions beforehand, and don't worry if you don't have the link for your workshop. We will now send it to the chat, so you will find the link in the chat. So teachers will learn a bit how to teach about applying to a job. So off you go, teachers. See you in a bit. And now we welcome to the stage the specialists from Lidl, sustainability specialist replacing Laura Quisberg today is Jenni Hakkarainen, and another specialist is HR specialist Elina Salla. Welcome, Lidl. The stage is yours.
Hello everyone and greetings from Lidl. My name is Elina and here's my colleague Jenni.
Hi everyone, I hope you have had a great day today.
And I'm not going to waste time about talking about Lidl. I hope you know who we are and maybe you have visited our stores and maybe you have bought our products, because today we're going to talk about one of our products. It's my favorite product in the whole world, chocolate. Do you like chocolate?
Who doesn't love chocolate?
Everybody loves chocolate. And today we're going to talk about chocolate, and actually we're going to ask you guys to build your own chocolate brand. I think beforehand you have studied a little bit about cocoa.
Supply chains and all the risks also involved. Chocolate isn't only just fun and games, there are also some social and environmental risks that you have to consider, especially when you are a retailer like us.
Exactly. And today we're going to ask you guys to do a chocolate brand. Can we have the template that we have provided for you? Can we see? Yeah, there it is. I was joking that, but there it is. Okay, so we have filled out the template for you for an example. So we use our own chocolate way to go, but you're going to build your own brand. You're going to have an own brand name, own brand colors, and everything that you see on this template. The template is 2 parts, but please only send us this part, the first part. So it's basically quite simple. You just choose the information here, or you create your own, and there is no wrong answers here. We're going to tell you, or Jenni is going to tell about our chocolate in the end, or we're going to see your creations, but please be creative and have fun. We're going to look at your creations later, but now you have 15 minutes to do the work, so have fun, and we'll get back to you after 15 minutes. Welcome back. I use this time eating chocolate and offering to all the crew. Hope you liked it. Hey, now the time is up and back to work, but different kind of work because we have an alert. Jenny, what's happening?
There is a question in the chat, and we would ask you to answer the question. And please also notice that the 15 minutes is up. So please answer the question based on your answers on the template here. So we will give you guys a few minutes to answer, so take your time.
So only choose one option from the poll, because now we have a situation that actually has happened many times with us. Jenny works in communications, and we have quite a lot of reporters calling us and asking about our responsibility factors, right?
That is true, that is true. Journalists are extremely interested about all the ingredients that we use in our products and what do we do to ensure that there is no, for example, there is no child labor in our supply chain. So what we can do as a company is that, or what we in Lidl have decided to do is that we only use sustainably certified cocoa in all of our products that have cocoa in it. For example, chocolate, but also other chocolate products such as puddings or, I don't know, cereals and all sorts of things. But yeah, journalists are interested about it, but also our customers are interested about it. So
exactly.
We are eager to hear later what you guys have chosen in your templates for the what is your stance on certificates.
Mm-hmm. We only have 2 votes for now, and they have chosen the certified chocolate, so
thumbs up.
Good job. Of course, not everyone chose to do this, but even though it might cost a little bit more, we have decided to do it. Of course, within these kind of situations, when we have reporters asking questions, we can be very proud and upfront about our product.
Yeah, it's a part of the corporate social responsibility to ensure that all the environmental and social risks are minimized in our supply chains. So that is why we have chosen to do this. The other option, of course, is not to use certified cocoa, but that's not really something that we would like to do.
No. But let's see, now we have quite a lot of, well, no, 10, it's going up, and most of you have chose the certified chocolate, which is very good. If you are going to have your own company or do your own product building in future, this is something that we encourage you to think about, the supply chain and also these kind of matters, because nowadays, luckily, they are very important.
Yes, it is also part of doing business. You have to know all the risks involved in your business activities.
Yeah.
You have to know your supply chains, where your raw ingredients come from, how your products are manufactured, and yeah.
All right.
Should we then talk a bit about our case?
We wanted to give you an example about brand product or a product that is very dear to us, the Way to Go chocolate. And as you saw during the assignment, we have made we have chosen things that I think that are very sustainable and of course also ethical. Do you want to tell us something about? Well, here it's in Finnish, but maybe you can tell something about our chocolate.
I can translate.
So
yes.
I can eat the chocolate one.
Yeah, you go ahead. When we were asked to design our dream chocolate bar, this is what we came up with. So it is called Way to Go chocolate, and what it is, it's fair trade chocolate, which means that the cocoa farmers get fair compensation for all the work that they do. But in addition, we as Lidl, we pay an extra premium or a bonus to every sold chocolate bar. And that money is used to training and development, and it's a way for us to help the local communities and also help the local communities so that there is no child labor in cocoa farms, and they can actually put their kids into school, because school is important.
This is very good, by the way.
It's tasty?
Yeah, it's really tasty.
That's great.
So that's a good thing in chocolate also. Okay, now we have quite a lot of votes, and still the result is that you like a provider that has this certificate. So that's great news for us, and also for the future if you decide to have your own brand one day. All right, we still have, I think, 7 minutes left. So let's look at your work. If we have any templates ready, we can look what we have. Oh, we already have one, I think.
Oh, wow, did I just saw little sneakers in here?
Yeah, I have one pair. Not today, but there is little sneakers also. Okay, let's see. Product name, tasty as hell. I think we need to start selling that.
we should take this idea to our marketing.
Unique selling points. En kerro. That's great.
You can do that.
Okay, but there we go. Flavors. Well, can you see them?
Strawberry, vanilla, and watermelon.
Oh, nice. In Wage-Go, we have, I think, many different flavors. We have, well, this is milk chocolate, and then we have dark chocolate. I saw an almond one.
Yeah.
Okay, but watermelon that might be good also.
Sounds interesting.
Okay, brand colors. They are quite, maybe a little bit of a little brand. Well, it's missing yellow, but looking great. Suomi Pojat is the group, so well done, Suomi Pojat. And there's the price range, 1 to 2 euros. I think that's good.
They have chosen the same route as we have, so certified chocolate, but also still a reasonable price. So sustainable choices shouldn't be exclusive, they shouldn't be too expensive, they should be available for everyone.
Exactly. Okay, so Suomi Pojat, maybe think of this a little bit more, but otherwise looks great.
Looks great. Do we have another example?
Oh, we have many. Great. Very pretty.
They're all very pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, vegan chocolate from Food Loss. I like the concept.
That's great. Flavors, okay, raspberry, love, almond and caramel, yes, and dark chocolate. I think those would sell very well. Healthy.
And all the selling points are healthy, sustainability, and tasty. That's great. Great that you have sustainability as one of your selling points.
And I love that you already have like a proper look. It's really nice.
I love the pink.
Yeah, you're not even using our template. You have your own, so it looks great. And I think what you have noticed now that in HR point of view, you need many different kind of skills while you're doing your product or like process, I would say. You need people that are brand professionals, you need communication specialists, and of course you need everyone for their product placement. So it's complicated matters. You need many different kind of, how many different kind of teams we have doing our chocolate?
Oh, wow. Well, it all starts from sourcing the ingredients and getting in touch with all the chocolate providers. That is only the start of it. But then we also have the marketing department that has to think about the look of the product and the feel of the packaging. And then there are us sustainability specialists who have to think about, what about the environmental risks? What about the social risks? And then, of course, there are our sales department.
Exactly. So there is hundreds of people making this only one chocolate bar. Okay, let's see. Product name, Rum Rum.
Love
kind
it.
Of cool, yeah. Okay. How about the flavors?
Raspberry, licorice, hazelnuts, and dark chocolate.
They have the same brand colors. I think they are popular now.
I think they were influenced in some way.
Maybe. Okay, certified chocolate, very good. The price range, very good. Okay, unique selling points. And it's you wouldn't think that when you go to a store and there is hundreds or tens different kinds of chocolate that you need to have your unique selling points in any product, but also in chocolate, because we all have our favorites, I think. And you need to have like high quality, of course, transmitted from the origin, okay. And price to quality ratio, that's great. That's very important with us also in Lidl. Price and quality ratio, very good.
We can already see from these examples that the students have really grasped the idea what we were looking for here.
Exactly. Okay, Loco Choco. That's great.
That sounds like a little chocolate to me.
Yeah, milk chocolate, salty caramel. These are, I think you have chosen quite classics. But unicorn, what is that? I don't know, but
please
sounds
tell
great.
us more.
Sounds great. But it's quite common that while you have your brand, you have the classics and then something a little bit more crazy. So maybe the unicorn might be the crazier one, but I would like to taste that. Okay, more than €2, all right. Good choice. Cocoa Horizons. Main target, people who care about climate change. Very good. And I think that market is growing all the time, so very good choice. The tastiest, most ethical chocolate in the game. Yes, now we're gonna have a competitor with our chocolate.
Oh no.
But it's good. All right, flavors you have never tasted before. Sounds great. We still have 2 minutes. Do we have more templates? You guys, really good job. I'm
don't worry
impressed.
if you were not able to just yet send out your templates. We are going to look through them and comment them, so no worries. We will see them later.
You can send them afterwards. Okay. Also, if you have any questions for us or about Lidl, you can also send us a message to the chat. And that's all, I think, if we don't have more templates.
That's all from our side. Thank you all for participating in our workshop, and we hope you have a pleasant day ahead.
See you at Lidl.
Okay, I think we are now more sustainable and responsible, right? It's important to consider these factors, as Lidl already mentioned. And when you start a company, you should always have this in mind. What are the effects? What's the sustainable approach? What's the business model about, considering all this holistic view on the world? Next up, we have a panel discussion, but before that, we go to a short break. So prepare yourself for discussion between 4 entrepreneurs about how to build a business out of your strengths. See you soon.
What does our future look like? That's a big question that we start to think about from an early age. Everyone wants to find their place in the world. We wait for the moment when the pieces fall into place. There are so many things to learn along the way. Luckily, we're not alone in dealing with new things, but we get help and encouragement. We take steps towards the future, which starts to look a bit clearer. We learn that everyone has an important role in society. We're not only deciding on our own future, but everyone can influence common issues as well. Everything is possible when we trust each other. We're on this journey together. Doing things together shows us that we're all quite different from one another. We all have our own role to play. If we encourage each other, we'll succeed. When everyone dares to take responsibility and be active, that success will lead to great things. We'll notice that being spontaneous and enthusiastic is appreciated. When you have the courage to try new things, your confidence and skills will grow. We realize that we learn best by doing things ourselves. We start to believe that everyone will find their own place. Even though we have questions that don't have answers, we have the courage to face bigger challenges than we ever dreamed of. We can shape our own future by taking brave steps towards it. You can find your own place quickly, or it can take time. The pieces can fall into place in so many different ways, and there's no need for them to stay where they are forever. It's amazing that we're able to change the future at any time. The most important thing is to be brave and chase your own dreams.
Welcome back from the break. All right, it's time for our final program of the afternoon. Next up, we have myself and very beautiful 3 entrepreneurs having a discussion about how to make a business out of your strengths. Our first guest is Jani Torppa, representing Geek Lab and Yeti for Livet. Our second guest is Lilia Lagerbohm, representing CV. And finally, we have a dancer, radio and media persona, and a freelancer, Sofia Vekesa. Welcome all.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes.
So, if we consider our strengths and how you made your business as it is now, could you tell me a little bit, like Sofia, for example, how did you figure out your strengths and made a business out of it? Or businesses, let's say.
Right. I don't know if it was like figuring out my strengths. It was just like, these are the things that I really want to do, and I want to do them so much that I want to spend all my time with that. Yeah. And then I realized that, okay, like, yeah, I can find people who actually want to pay money for that enjoyment as well. For example, dancing and teaching dance classes or doing my DJ gigs and so on. And I think that one of the things has always been that I have found out, for example, with DJing, it started just with this, that nobody plays the music that I want to listen to the way that I would like to listen to it, and I would like to party to it. And then, like, it's just that if you can find it, you have to make it yourself. And then you realize that, okay, this was obviously something that other people wanted too. Yeah. So I think that that's it.
You're kind of answering to the needs and following what makes you excited. You know?
Right. But it's a tricky thing that you still have to like balance between like your own like needs and what you actually want, and then to find like, okay, people are connecting with this, and then just like circling around that, because it's, of course, it's not always like, oh, this is the most important thing and interesting thing in the world, and then just other people agreeing with that. It doesn't always go like that. So you have to find the common ground. Yeah.
All right. What about Lilia? Like, I heard your company is CV, making customized CVs for people,
yes.
Conveniently from the name.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how did you figure out your strengths and made it a company?
Like you mentioned, my company does custom-made resumes and basically any work applying material anyone might need. And for me, it was kind of, my business started in a way by accident, because I had been making resumes to myself and to my friends. And then when I helped my mom out when she was applying to a job, and then she said that, well, I mean, probably someone else would also pay for this kind of service, and then it kind of started from there. So for me, there was never like a breakthrough moment when I realized that like, whoa, I'm so good at this, or I'm so good at that. So it was more kind of understanding what I already know, and especially what I'm curious about and want to learn more about.
Yeah, and also considering making CVs, you were kind of trying to figure out your strengths, make it to the CV, and then through the process you had kind of made a product, which is quite funny, quite entertaining. Yes.
So I would say that it's like, it has always been kind of, things are happening by accident, but I would say that it's not like they're not happening without a reason. It's like I've been prepared, I've been kind of curious about certain things, and then being like, because of my curiosity, I've had like encountered people that need those resumes, and like different companies that I've also helped with that kind of things. So it was always being kind of just like one opportunity leading to another, and I've been trying to like learn on the way as much as I can.
Yeah, that's important too.
Yeah, definitely.
What about Jani, our entrepreneur of, well, Geek Lab as a main, I assumed, as a software company, and also the Yetiverlivet as a clothing brand. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm the same line with the girls, that I didn't have like exact strength that, okay, I'm very good at this, so now I need to build the business around it. Yetiverlivet is also like something that we have heard that it's just happening. It was the idea that I want to have a clothing company which represents like being self-confident, and that was the idea. But I didn't know anything about clothing company, and I just know that I like clothes, but nothing about the business side of it. But the strength that I did have back then and still have it is being self-confident about myself and believing in myself. And when I got the idea, I was thinking that everything I need to learn, I'm going to learn. I need to do everything on my power to manage everything and do all the work that it's going to be a success. Yeah. And maybe that's the strength that I have, and a little bit hearing from both of the stories that we don't have like exact strength that, okay, this is where we build this business. We are believing ourselves that we are going to find the way to manage everything. So the self-confidence was the strength that how we built the Yetiverlivet and also the Geek Lab, because Geek Lab also is like a software company, and I didn't have any idea about software companies, but I was willing to do everything to learn everything and get myself to manage everything. So the strength was being self-confident and believing in myself.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because what I'm about to say is that like I was teaching a bit of self-leadership to a couple of youngsters in schools, because I think that was the one key skill for entrepreneurship. Because then you learn management, you're managing yourself as a self-leader, and then you take the responsibility, like you said, like, well, I'm responsible of making it happen, making the product, all these things. So then working with that is very important.
Yeah, and the skill sets are growing after that. When you are believing in yourself and start doing things. Now, I can say I have a couple strengths that I am good with some things with the speaking and team management and the business side of it, because I have learned with the journey. Yeah. So they are coming when you are doing something, but you need to believe yourself and being confident about those things, so then you can learn those things and have more strengths and more skills to go forward with it.
Yeah, even though like some of us are maybe born dancers sometimes, but I think if I consider many of us, we are like doing things on the go as we find things in life, and then we suddenly become kind of those specialists of certain fields, because that's how we learn. Well, if you consider your kind of career path, what kind of the obstacles that you were facing in your entrepreneurship life? Was there some? I think there's always some.
Yes.
Yeah, I can go first, but there's always and every day. That's like everyday thing. I'd say that sometimes they are smaller, sometimes are bigger ones. So, but COVID, it's like pretty big for everybody, and being an entrepreneur, it's some way have been affecting on your business side. And in my case, having no money by yourself or having no money with the company, that is one obstacle. And making wrong decisions is always, and the learning from new things, because you can't know everything. So you need to learn new things. So when you are learning new things, you need to try new things. And usually when you are trying something, you are usually failing something and taking wrong decisions. So those are like main things that pops in my mind.
Yeah, so budgeting and taking the learnings as they go, feel to free, failing, right?
Yeah, you need to fail if you want to learn anything. So failing, and after that you need to see, okay, why this thing failed and what we should do next to do it better. So that's like most important thing.
Yeah.
And being fine with the failing.
What about Sophia and Lilia? Do you agree with
I
this?
never fail. No, of course I do. I think that for me, because I used to have a day job in social work, and then it took me a lot of reflection to like understand that, okay, like I'm getting burned out when I try to like first do my day job and then go to the clubs and DJ and then dance and everything like that. And just, it took therapy for me to understand this, that, okay, I just have to choose something. And still I'm doing like plenty of different things, but I have to make choices and commit to one thing and then just like balancing between all of this kind of different stuff. And then also in this reflection, I understood that there are things that the stuff that I want to do is super valid, even though it's not the thing that the social norms would like me to pursue. So maybe the dancing and the DJing and everything is just like, somebody says that, oh, you're gonna grow up one day and then you're gonna just like want this like regular day job and everything like that. After COVID, I understood that I will never stop DJing. Like partying is the most important thing, because when we didn't get to party, I was just like, okay, this is not a life to live. So like just to commit to what you actually want and what is your like deepest desire, and to allow yourself to do that. Because that was like the biggest failure or the obstacle with me was just like, okay, should I do this with what sounds reasonable, or should I just like pursue this?
Like, are you all spread out the things and like kind of like taken away by the social things, or are you like really following what you want to do?
I think I'm following what I want to do, but I'm also like vibing with it all the time.
Yeah. So kind of finding balance between riding the waves and.
Yeah, but you still have to like be accountable and commit to what you want, because you can't have like everything. So then there are like certain things that you have to like, okay, now I'm going to do this and commit to it.
Yeah.
But if you try to like be this person who does all of this for like that is acceptable and part of the social norms, and then you try to be like this groundbreaking person at the same time, you can't be those at the same time.
That's good.
Either you do the pioneer stuff and then you get a lot of like questioning all the time, but you're committed to your stuff and you're not looking for outer validation, or then you go for the outer validation and then you stay there, but it's like you're gonna get burned out if you try to do both.
That's a very good point. Yeah. That's a very good point. What about Lilia? Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking that like what you just said is super important, because I mean, my business is about getting people to their dream jobs. It's not partying, so not as fun, but like also very important. But what I've noticed, that because I've had this company now for 2.5 years, and especially like a year ago when I was like introducing myself to people or telling to others about my company, I was like, yeah, I'm Lilia, and I have just this company that I sometimes work on. And people were like you have a company, like you, like it's not just a company that you like, kind of like be bold enough to bring it up and be proud about it. So for me, it has kind of been, well, I don't think that I've never had like any bigger kind of challenges in the traditional way that you would think that, oh my god, like we're going out of money, or for example, because it's just me, so I'm not employing other people and I don't have like that kind of like a responsibility. But then at the same time, for me as like an entrepreneur doing things on my own, I feel like the challenge is definitely about time management, and also because I'm also a full-time student and this is more like a side business for me, is that I get a lot of like good opportunities every once in a while, and a lot of like very great and exciting projects that I would like to work on, but then I just have to say no because I don't have the time, unless I want to get burned out, which is definitely not what anybody would want. So definitely for me, it has been kind of learning that even though you really want to do something and you have what it takes, you still sometimes you gotta say no, and kind of like being able to bear that like that I cannot do anything, like everything just because I want to is like definitely a challenge. But I think it's like a positive challenge or like a problem because it's great to have those projects. And I've also learned that if you say something like, if you say no to something now, then at the end it might like turn out or like come again your way. So definitely like I wouldn't, like nowadays I'm not that afraid of saying no anymore.
Yeah. And I think Sophia also mentioned this therapy thing, and like I'm working on the field of mental health too. Like as the coaching part of my entrepreneur is more on the mental health side. So looking at my past as an entrepreneur is that like the biggest obstacle was that mental barrier. Like you said, like representing something and going with the old identity to something that you want to be later on, and going towards to kind of like building something new rather than looking back and being like, well, this is who I was, so I will be this. So that has been a really big thing for me, and it's interesting to hear that it's something that you also consider.
Yes, definitely.
Then I would love to hear about the most valuable thing in the work you do. Like what motivates you to do this thing?
I have a couple ways. I have the business side, which motivates on the business side, and what are those things that I'm love to do when I'm working, and then also what I'm by myself, what I'm wanting to do and what motivates me in a business with the Geek Lab, because we are fast scaling up startup, one of the fastest scaling up startups in our industry right now. So growing the team is maybe one of the biggest part, best part, having company, seeing that we are having new people, new employees, and they are ready to work with us and make things even better and growing with the team. So that's maybe one of the best things right now. And also growing the company, being bigger and better. That's also what we want to do with that, and that's something where I'm pretty proud that what we have managed to do in a couple of years and how fast we have had grown. So those are like two things where I love to do about the business side and which motivates me. But by myself, freedom is like the maybe biggest thing that motivates me to do everything. We have lots of work, and it's not gonna be less. It's going to be more and more when we go and bigger company and having more employees. So the amount of work is going to be bigger all the time. So what motivates me is that the freedom that is coming in some place. So not the money. In our strategy, Geek Lab is going to be, we're gonna have exit someday. That's gonna be sure. When it's gonna be, I don't know, a couple years, 3 years, 4 years maybe, the exit will become. And the money, what we're gonna get from there is giving the freedom that I don't need to do anything because of the money. I can do it because I want it to do. Yeah. Right now I want to do this, but I don't want to do this in my whole life. Yeah. That's for sure. And having this stress and leading everything. So the money can give you opportunity to be free from everything, and that's which motivates me right now. Beside growing the team and helping the customers and growing the company right now. But the freedom is like the biggest thing, because that's like place to be happy when you can do whatever you like and you don't need to think about money or things like that. You just can do things that you really love to do.
Yeah, lovely. What about Sophia?
Well, I think that in a way, like what I do is kind of opposite, because I will never have an exit from dancing or the arts or or because I also hold like anti-racist lectures, about anti-racism and cultural sensitivity. And obviously racism is not going to end in my lifetime. So there is no exit from that either. So it's more of this like long-term commitment to these topics. But then when I used to do social work, I found out that, okay, I have these certain values that are important to me that I want to like push forward. And then I started to question that how does it change if I come from like this, doing this gender sensitive youth work, and then I go to the clubs. And then I just realized that no matter where I go, still the same values that I have are the same, because then when we go to the clubs, we're pushing always for the safer spaces in the Helsinki club scene. And then I just take the methods that I build up and used in social work to the club scene. And then I realized that, okay, like the stuff that I actually know and what are my strengths is just like, if I stay connected to my core values, it's wherever I go. And then sometimes I get these like big opportunities that are actually the outer validation that, oh, now they want me to be part of like Tanssintalon advisory board, and then everybody's on Instagram like, hey, big up, and oh, it's so cool, and everything like that. And of course, but I myself, I'm not a big person of sitting in the meetings. So in that way, it's like a big opportunity to have like some kind of impact in my dance field. But at the same time, like that is not, it's not my thing to just like sit there and talk and have the coffee and everything like that. I'm just like, I'd rather just dance, you know? Yeah. But then one of the biggest things in my career was this when we were having a club at Kuudeslinja, and then this one queer girl came to me and said that, hey, I'm from this like super small town from Finland, and I have experienced like a lot of bad stuff and everything like that, and I never enjoyed myself in the clubs and everything. But tonight at your club, I felt so safe, and I've been just dancing with my wife the whole time and everything like that. And that was like biggest things in my career, to have like this, that somebody from my community comes and says that I felt so safe today. And just like giving back to the community is just like, okay, like I succeeded in my values. Yeah. And then I'm just like, okay, so I'm not going to retire, but now I could.
Thanks. That's a very nice story that you gave. Yeah. Lydia, do you have shortly something to say about that?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, well, I'm going to start with a very selfish one, that, well, if you've ever, or like for me, it is a really good source of motivation that when I'm actually able to pay myself, like I've done a job and I was able to employ myself and get paid, and I think that is like super great. And if there's like anyone there that has ever been able to employ themselves and actually pay themselves for it, give yourself a pat on the back, because that's that's super great and like very impressive. And for me, like it's not about the money itself, but kind of like about the act of that. For example, this summer, for the whole of July, I was able to work on a company project on my own, and I was able to employ myself full time for the whole month. And I was like, this is great. Yeah, I was like, this is the dream. Like I'm on my summer holiday and I can work on this thing, and it's like, it was just like amazing. So I think on top of that is also like in my company itself, because I'm making like work applications for people. So of course it's very motivating and very like fulfilling to be able to like help people actually like succeed in their dreams and like get further in what they want to do. So that's definitely like a very practical thing that always makes me happy when people are happy with their resumes and they said that they got into interview and everything. So that's super.
It's very valuable to hear about these motivations, because then some people might consider like, well, yeah, we are hearing about entrepreneurship, but like, why should we go for it? And I think like seeing yourself on fire is something that we want to see, right? Next up, we're gonna take a look at the chat quickly. There's some questions up there, and see what you guys think about the discussion. And do you have something in? Well, how do you feel when you fail? What's the most fun thing being an entrepreneur? Well, you're still dreaming as an entrepreneur. What subjects? Well, let's go with the what's the most fun thing at being an entrepreneur. I think that's already kind of like what motivates you. But quickly, the one thing.
Freedom.
Freedom. Sophia, what's one thing?
I think that freedom as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom.
I'm gonna say independence, but basically freedom.
Yeah. Well, freedom it is.
Yeah.
I agree. Freedom is the best. Are you still dreaming about something while you're an entrepreneur, or are you living the dream? Like, is there still something that you dream?
I'm living the dream right now, because like we heard here that paying for yourself and being like giving your own paychecks, that's also one of the dreams that you can manage to do. but I'm still dreaming about many things and what I want to do. I also going around the schools around the Finland and talking with the self-confidence and those like of things, and the story you told that somebody coming to you and telling you that you have made something that he or she will feel safe and have things. So same kind of things when I'm going around Finland and talking about being self-confident, and people are coming to say that, okay, now I go with my parents and tell them that I'm gay because why you told me. So those are things that I'm dreaming still to make even bigger, but always dreaming about new things, but still living the dream right now.
No, thank you.
Well, I can say,
like
let's
have
quickly,
a quickly, we are running out of time.
like just quickly, that a very practical dream actually for me is that for like 6 months now I've been dreaming of writing an ebook. So that's what I've been working on, and hopefully like within the next year or something I would be able to publish it. So that's like a dream that comes to my mind every day.
Yeah. I think we are about to run out of the stream time, so we will go to end this panel discussion. Do you have some small words to say to the people on the other side? Like, what advice would you give them?
Believe in yourself. Start it. You don't need to know everything. We just talked back at the cafe before this that you don't need to know everything when you start to. If you have the idea, that's enough. Then just go for it. You can learn everything with the journey, and you don't need to know everything before you start things. So let's go, be brave, and don't afraid to fail things. So that's like advices that I can give you.
I think it's just like staying connected to yourself. Like I figured out, oh, I'm a dance hall nerd. Let me make money out of that being a nerd.
And I would add that like just do you enjoy it, and kind of you don't have to know it all now, but just like get going, be open-minded, and like do good work, and good things will follow.
All right, thank you, panelists.
Yes, thank
you so much.
All right, that's how we wrap up the event for you guys. Thanks so much for joining, and thanks for all the participants on the other side of the internet. Huge thanks for the Slush, our partners Nordea and Lidl, Minion Recruitment, and our panelists. On the behalf of Economy and Youth TAT, I thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I hope you got some useful insights and information on entrepreneurship and can now take the next steps towards your journey in life. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.